I know, it's funny because I was listening to Trump talk about the whole thing with babies, and it made me laugh because I'm sitting there going, I feel like somebody asked him a question. He goes, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, okay. And the whole $5,000, which is just a random, it doesn't do anything for you in real life because, most of the people they're going to piss it away. It'd be a helper if somebody came and handed you $5,000, but, average cost of a child to raise a child right now? What, $420,000, something like that?
Easily.
So
I don't have kids.
And that's just for me because my kid plays hockey. That's like a year. Super excited he plays hockey too. Every time I'm like, dude, are you sure you just don't want to do anything else? Maybe my daughter would like to do, I don't know, Formula One. I don't know.
You got money well spent.
But we need to do something. And yesterday we touched on a little bit because I'm going to break down the numbers for you. And I don't think people realize what happens to cultures, societies, countries, states, when there is no more replenishing of folks. Now, for some people out there, like I think this is Mrs. Greer here. She is a Fordham professor, black culture, poli-sci kind of thing. It's always about white people.
But also, we can't ignore the racial element. This has a long-standing history in this country about who should be the dominant group. We know that the president has talked many times about his good genes and his eugenics, and we know that they want/need more white people in this country. This is what the mass deportations are about. We know that the way the rules are set up in this country, only white women can make white men. Only white women can make white babies. So if that's the case, you have to make sure you defund abortion. You have to make sure you make it illegal and criminal. You have to make sure that you make it as easy as possible for white women specifically to be able to have children, whether it's IVF or whatever it may be, because the idea is to get them back to 100 years ago when white people are the dominant group.
And apparently when she was also doing this hit, she was shuffling cards.
I was getting ready to say.
Multitasking, reading her favorite book while talking.
A book she wrote, oddly enough.
Yeah.
It matters, and 5,000 isn't going to do it. We have yesterday we touched a bit about it, and I was walking downstairs, and one of my favorite people downstairs, she's one of our sales lady for the digital side, and she's 28, and she goes, I'd love to have a kid. She goes, what am I going to do with $5,000? Honestly. She goes, it sounds great, but the cost, first of all, we don't have childcare the way we need it done in this country. It's so damn expensive. We don't have the cost of just having the child. It can be astronomical. Trust me, I know from recent times. And you start adding up certain things and then having time off. It's important because your culture disappears. Not just the culture, but you start to struggle in ways that you cannot believe. And if we really care about tomorrow and our kids and we're worried about fixing the debt now and those kind of things, it is something that needs to be dealt with. Elon's like, this is the biggest problem we have in this country. As bad as our debt crisis is we're not replenishing. If it wasn't for illegal immigration and having kids here and legal immigrants having kids here, we would be at the lower end of the spectrum down near South Korea, which is scary. Now, let's take a look at that because these are what real numbers look like, people. No baloney here. We don't do that. That's the no spin zone. Really? No, it's not the no spin zone. We are above replacement's where we want to be. 2.1 kids above replacement. We're at 1.66. We're down near 1.3 without immigrants having kids here. So that's scary. That puts us at like 180-ish out of 200. If we, as a nation, were to start really seeing this go the way that it is and we don't fix it in some way, shape, or form, first thing, we are going to see the shrinkage of the workforce in ways you cannot believe. There'll be less innovation. And as the older workforce retires and they live longer than ever before, all of a sudden it's become really top heavy. So we're having a very few people who have to basically carry the load for everybody. Oh, that's not good. Then if you're worried about immigration, well, guess what happens? You got to start opening up the doors because otherwise people are going to take all of their manufacturing, everything out here because you don't have enough workers. Then you get political unrest. Ooh, that's not good at all. And this has happened everywhere. Pension systems collapse. Immigration becomes more necessary. Innovation disappears and instability rises. Other countries are in a worse situation, but only because we have immigration and illegal immigration and legal immigration and they're having kids here, have we sustained our population and grew it a little bit. Birth rate, Japan, 1.26. By the end of this century, they're going to go from 128 million people to 70 million. That's not good. And they've already, since 1995, and this has already started moving into that direction, they've lost 13 million workers that they haven't replaced. 1 in 10 homes are vacant, ghost houses. Towns are disappearing. The economy is completely stagnant. And they don't have immigration like we do. And they're reluctant to because they're very, the nation that they've built themselves is very much a Japanese culture nation. They're going to lose 50% of the population and their military capacity is going to disappear completely. South Korea, by the way, is the gold standard of, oh my God, we're going to disappear. 52 million people now, by the end of this century, down to about 15 to 20. There's not going to be anything left. North Korea will take them over long before that, at the rate they're going. Elder care cost has exploded there, and they're super top heavy as far as their cost to take care of the elderly. And they do it in a much different way. You got to think about this for a second. Their culture is a culture like the Asian culture across the board is, and even to Latin countries is there is no sending grandma to the home. There isn't that, right? Like, all of us were like, we can't, your mom gets sick. You're like, you better, I told my mom, I'm going to roll you out in the middle of the street. And then people are going to like, this lady? We've never seen her before in my life. Because it sounds like a joke, but we do that. We stick people away, and it's a horrible thing to do, but their culture isn't that way. But they're at a point now where they have no choice, but they have to work 2 jobs. China, get ready for this one. And that's why I talked about this. 1.4 billion, that was the peak of their population, 2021. They're losing 2 million plus people a year, and that is growing and growing and growing. They're going to be down to 500 million people or less by the end of this century. And their fear of social unrest is going to be crazy. And get ready for this. Their elderly outnumber the young 2 to 1. What are countries doing? This is the issue. We're offering $5,000. Hungary, tax exemption for moms. So if you have 4 kids, you don't pay taxes ever again. Subsidized housing loans, interest-free loans for newlyweds. And if you get if you're married, you get an interest-free loan. And if you have your 3rd child, they forgive the loan. Oh, yeah. Singapore, cash bonuses for each child, subsidized childcare, parental leave policies, housing priorities. That's what they're focusing on. Japan and South Korea are doing everything they can, including potentially allowing people to come there and try to help with the reproduction. That's where Bell is today. He's not there. We're offering the $5,000, but that was just something that they threw out there, as Ken and I were joking about. It's important because we have a younger generation that, as I was talking to, telling you guys about the lady that works here, she's great. She's awesome. She's like one of those things, you could be a great mom. That's what we need. And yet at the same time, she said her boyfriend or soon-to-be husband, they've got great job. They just got a house. But the affordability of trying to build their life, there's just no way they can afford a kid at this moment in time. And we've got to look at each child, not only as a precious child, but also as a corporation and what they're going to do for society and paying into it. And we subsidize all kinds of crap in this country. And we need to figure out a way to incentivize not just white kids, which is the dumbest thing in the world. That lady's insane. But children across the board. Because not only is it great for us and rebuilding our society and keeping it strong, it's great for the world and the freedoms in the world. But for the kids that are already out there, Ken's got kids, I got kids, their world's going to look way different if we start to fade away. So we better think about something in the way that we handle this. And I said I would make it so if you're having kids, you're not paying for your hospital bill. We got that covered. You're going to get 12 weeks off work. We'll cover that. We're going to help in any way, shape, or form because it's about building. We spend and waste enough money. We need to think about the future. If we're serious about it, this is what we need to do. We need to make it easier and try to get rid of those boundaries rather than make it so it's, good luck to you. Right? Good luck to you. And then wonder why, it's already bad enough we don't have kids that don't want to date anymore, for God's sakes. What was that thing, Ken? Is it ladies 30 and 40? 40 more kids now than 20-year-olds.
Yeah. First-time moms in their 40s for the first time ever outnumbered those in their 20s and teens.
Yeah. So, and it's, a lot of people like...
In their 40s.
Yeah. 40s. Think about it. Because that's when they feel like they're at a point in their life where they can, well, it's either do it now or never, but they can afford it.
Right.
And if we care about it, because here's the other alternative, guys. I hate to break it to you. If this doesn't happen, they're going to open the borders again at some point in time and say, well, we're going to make it a lot easier to get in this country legally or illegally because we're not going to have a society where we have workers, which is what we need to pay for the workers that are retiring and to fill the vacancies that are going to come from the great retirement. So we've got to figure something out.